Hey Buns, today I want to talk about an issue that was brought up in response to a video I posted last week about giving and receiving advice in Final Fantasy XIV. Now that's hard enough on its own because of fear of being misunderstood if you're giving advice, fear of failure or being called out if you're receiving advice. But today I want to dive deeper into the question of how do we get to that point in the first place, where so often it seems players really need that advice to be given by other players. Someone shared with me their experience of doing World of Darkness with a level 70 red mage who was still hard casting every Thunder and Verero. Now these spells have a very long cast time. Like, it is not fun to cast. It's like long enough to make you think, this don't seem right. Then, with luck, you discover Dual Cast, your job's core mechanic, which makes every other spell instant. So you slap that on the long cast spells, and your rotation starts to feel a lot smoother, and you're well on your way to knowing your job. And that's how I figured out, what to do with Thunder Verero when I was learning Red Mage. But what if I was a brand new player or new to MMOs or something, and I didn't think to myself, this takes a real long time. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. Maybe they just thought, well, this class just every other spell is very long. Maybe they have no reason to second guess that. It's easy as a veteran player to look and think, oh, well, obviously they should know to use dual cast on these specific spells, but you really can't underestimate just how little a new player might know. Like, no offense to the new players. I think we've all probably run into high-level players just not understanding basic mechanics of their job. And often, but not always, often these people have bought the job skips and then they're thrust straight into the level 70 content without really any knowledge of how to perform well. I said thrust into content, which kind of makes it sound like, the winds of fate swept them away through no fault of their own. And they're like in this frightening territory and, oh, how did they get here? But clearly it is very much on them if they bought a skip and queued for the group content without knowing what to do. It is your responsibility to learn how your job works, at least in a basic way. If you don't, other people will have to pick up the slack for you, and that's unfair to them. If you read your tooltips and you try and you spend time studying them and trying to piece all of the different spells and abilities together, you'll probably get an idea of how your rotation is supposed to work. I say probably, but I cannot say that with any certainty after talking to a lot of new players who, yeah, they read something like positional, but they don't know what positional means. They might read combo, but not understand even what a combo means. These people might need to then go to a third-party website to learn more about how their job works. I don't want to make excuses for people that buy a skip and then don't do any work to learn their job at all. So I don't want to make excuses, but I think that there are sometimes reasons that a person might buy a skip that are understandable. Maybe they are new and they just want to get a high-level character and they don't understand the ramifications of buying the skip. They don't understand that they need to actually spend time learning the job. They think, oh, well, I'll just figure it out as I go through the group content. They're not... They're not thinking that it's not that deep for them. Or, maybe they're busy. They just thought to save time. Maybe they're tired after work. And maybe they even read how some of the skills work together, but they're just not thinking too hard about it. And maybe they misunderstood something. They're just pressing buttons, They're not necessarily, as a lot of people seem to think, out here just trying to make everybody's life harder. I think in most cases, somebody that doesn't know what they're doing, especially in a case like this, where it's a red mage, hard casting for Thunder Verero, that's not fun. It's not fun. It sucks to hard cast for Thunder Verero. If they knew not to do that, they wouldn't be doing that. They're doing that because they clearly don't understand. And, yes, it's inconveniencing the party, but I'm also looking at it from their perspective. Like, clearly, there's a missing link along the way. Clearly, there's something that went wrong that would result in this situation, And people will say, oh, well, that's what went wrong is that they didn't read a guide. Maybe go to a third-party site and read a guide. and they just don't want to give more help to people like this. I think maybe I'm seeing it differently because of my past history as a teacher. Before I did YouTube, I was a teacher. And like if I was teaching a class and I noticed that there was a big chunk of students who like just were not understanding core basics of the material, or were like just not ever doing their homework, I would personally try to find some ways to make the material more engaging and try to just get their interest, get them to learn this stuff better. Like I feel like that would be my role as a teacher. But if you've been to university, you know that, not all teachers see things that way. Other teachers are kind of like, well, here's the material, take it or leave it. It's your responsibility to learn it. And if you don't learn it, I really don't care, like you will fail and I don't care. And I think that there's the kind of the same division between players on their opinion on this. Obviously, negligence is not fair to other people. If you buy the skip and you don't know your job, don't try to learn it, it's not fair to others. Like I do not want to make excuses for people that don't read, but it is a problem. And I don't think that the solution is, just let these people suffer. Screw them. Like they deserve to suffer. They should suffer. And the system itself should be built in a way that makes them face the consequences for not reading. And so, yeah, let them struggle. Let them get yelled at. Even if they quit the game, who cares? It's good riddance. It's kind of the mindset some people have because they don't want the game to baby people more. They don't want the game to hold people's hands more. They think it does enough of that. If I see an opportunity for more teaching moments to take place, then I think that it can only be good. I think that different people learn in different ways. Different people put things together in different ways. And not everybody finds it easy to just read tooltips and read what skills do and like put all that together. I'll be honest with you, I myself really can't. Like if I'm sitting there learning a brand new job, I just go straight to a third-party website and I read the rotation and I try to just practice the rotation that somebody else has tested, because I certainly don't trust myself to figure it out in a way that's going to be correct. Some people are good at that, and like if that's you, more power to you. But I think there's probably a lot of people like me who just maybe don't trust themselves enough to get the rotation right by reading the skills, or just would prefer to defer that to someone who seems to know what they're actually doing, because I don't want to waste my time learning it wrong. But it sucks that I have to go to a third-party site to do that, to learn it. I believe there should be a job tutorial at level 70. That is mandatory if you bought a skip, and maybe there could be another optional one at level 80. I would love there to be level 80 job tutorials so I could maybe even refresh myself on jobs that I haven't played in a while. It would actually be absolutely amazing if you could access a job tutorial before you had that job at level 80, so you can see, do I like this job? Do I want to level this job? I think it could actually be a nice thing for everyone, but the mandatory job tutorial after you buy a skip, I feel like is something we really need in the game. And yes, these people that do not want the people who struggle to read tooltips to have any extra help, these are often people that do not want there to be any kind of level 70 job tutorial like I mentioned, because they don't want job boosting to become smoother or easier. They feel like a job tutorial for skips would incentivize people to buy more of them, and they don't really want skips to be in the game in the first place. And I understand that, but that ship has sailed. The skips are here to stay, and it is worth noting that it's quite possible to level your job through normal means, like through Deep Dungeon or PvP, and be just as clueless as someone who skipped. I mean, maybe you leveled your job a long time ago and you've forgotten everything about how the job works. Wouldn't it be nice to have a level 70 tutorial or level 80 you could go through for a refresher? I think a lot of people look at this from the perspective of a veteran player, right? You're not thinking of it from the perspective of someone who's new. You're thinking, oh, well, of course this person should have read his tooltip. Like, duh. Of course he should know what positionals mean and like where the positionals are even on the little target indicator. But a new player is like, tooltips? Maybe didn't read them. Didn't know to read them. Maybe read some. maybe didn't understand all. And if they understood some, it's likely they didn't fit all the pieces together, you know? I don't want to give up on these people. I don't want to give up on new players that didn't skip but don't understand. And I don't want to give up on people that bought a skip not realizing that it means they need to study. And they didn't study. Like, I don't want those people to just, oh, you know, they let them suffer. I don't really like that approach. I don't think that it's helpful. I don't think it's a solution. I think instead we need to be thinking about solutions to the problems we have. Should this be a problem we have? No. Obviously, if you like, the responsible thing to do before you go into group content is knowing your job. But a lot of people, look, this is a game. They don't take it that seriously. They think, oh, well, I'll just figure it out along the way. What's the big deal? I think that it's better to think about solutions for that problem. The forced job tutorial after a skip, I think, is a step in the right direction. Right now in game, we have active player help, which you can easily dismiss. Hall of the Novice exists, but it's not for learning your job. It's for level 15 players, and it's just introducing you to how roles work. It hasn't been updated in years. We need, you know, Hall of the Intermediate. We need Hall of the Expert. And we also need all those things for jobs. You look at a game like World of Warcraft. Now, that game has a lot of problems, but one of the things that it does right is tutorializing stuff. So if you buy a class skip, if you buy a boost, then you go straight into a tutorial for your job for that class. And you standing right in front of a training dummy, there's a guy standing there and he's like, hey, it looks like you decided to play a paladin. A paladin is a holy warrior. Okay, here's your first button. And you get one button. He's like, can you slap the target dummy 3 times with that button? And you do it. And the guy's like, great, here's your next button. This one is a proc. Here's how procs work. Can you proc it 3 times? And you do it. And it's really actually amazing for helping people understand how things work in the most basic way, in a way that will be easy to understand if maybe they're young, you know, maybe they're like a kid, or maybe they are tired after work and their just brain is like not work good. Like, we've all been there, and I want the game to be accessible for people in those situations as well. That is all I have to say on this topic for today, but as you have probably gathered, there's a lot of discussion to be had surrounding this, so I'd love to see that conversation continue in the comments section down below. Let me know your thoughts on a job tutorial, on your experience with reading your own skills and figuring out how stuff worked. How do you normally do that? How do you counsel other people who are learning jobs and asking you for advice? If you like this video, please consider supporting the channel on Patreon or on Twitch. You can also support the channel for free by clicking the subscribe button or by sharing this video with your fellow Warriors of Darkness. Thanks again so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!